اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله، يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين، يا علي بن أبي طالب، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد، يا قرة عين الرسول، يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله، اشفعي لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي، أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي، أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين، يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي، أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا وصي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. Ask for your hajat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. التماس دعاء. يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله، وتوسلت بكم إلى الله، واستشفعت بكم إلى الله، فاشفعوا لي عند الله، واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله، فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله، وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله، فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله، صلى الله عليهم أجمعين، ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين، آمين رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد. لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات فاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسري هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Continuing with the discussions that we had about tafsir of Quran, inshallah in 10-12 minutes I will try and do a concise summary of Surah Fajr, chapter number 89 from the Holy Quran. I recited the first few verses. This chapter has 30 ayat in it. Of course, the method, if you remember, the objective here is not to do a very detailed tafsir of these ayat, rather just to give an overview and a summary of these chapters in the 30th juz of Quran. The surah begins with an oath, with a qasam about wal fajr, by the dawn. Fajr, of course, means to literally break something. In Arabic, fajara yafjuro, or when it goes into fajjara yufajjiro, means to blow up or to break something. Morning is called fajr. The time of dawn is called fajr. Why? Because it breaks the darkness open and it brings the light into it. So that's why it's called fajr. It is very muqaddas and a virtuous time of the day, because it's the start of the day for all the creations. They, of course, they get to work in the morning, they start their day, and even if they're not going to work, they start their day in the morning for anything else that would be happening. In a hadith, Fajr in this surah refers to the Imam of our time, Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. It says, Al-Fajru huwa al-qa'imu alayhi salam. Because that darkness of injustice and corruption will end with the qiyam of Imam. So when he reappears, because there will be darkness in the form of injustice, in the form of corruption, Imam will reappear and he will remove that darkness of corruption and injustice, and therefore Imam is also referred to as Fajr. Another word that is mentioned in the when it starts wal fajr wal layalin ashr wal shaf'i wal watr wal layli dha yasr hal fi dhalika qasamun lidhi hijr. The word hijr with the ha means to stop something. Here it refers to insan's aql and intellect, which is there to stop him from making any mistakes. So aql of insan is also referred to as hijr. And therefore the word mahjur with the high hutti, someone who is not allowed to use his own wealth, someone who is mamnu' tasarruf min al-mal, someone, for example, who's not of age yet, not baligh yet, or maybe not mentally sound. If you're the guardian, that person should be under your care. He or she is not allowed to utilize their wealth because they'll squander it, they'll waste it. You are given that opportunity to go ahead and take care of that. So that's where the word hijr or mahjur comes from. The word shaf' wal watr means even and odd. Now there are many interpretations of the word shaf' and watr. Shaf' literally, means double or even. Watr means single, or, as here in this ayat also refers to as odd, because it's talking about those 10 nights in which you have the even and the odd nights. So those which are, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Then you have the 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Also, the word shaf' and watr refers to, watr is the 9th of Zulhijjah, which is the day of Arafah. And shaf' is the 10th of Zulhijjah, which is Eid Qurban or Eid al-Adha. Also, you have Salatul Layl, in which you have the last 3 ayat. 2 of them is called Namaz Salat Shaf' or Salatul Witr. These are the last 3. If you have difficult time praying Namaz Shaf' or Salatul Layl, just pray these 3. As a startup, just pray these 3. Namaz Shaf' is basically 2 rakat. You make the niyat. In each rakat after Surah Hamd, Qul Huwallah, no qunut. And in Namaz Witr, it's 1 rakat. You start with the recitation of, there are multiple ways of doing it. After Surah Fatiha, you can recite the 4 quls, if you know it, and then do the qunut. In qunut, you can do any recitation you want, any dua that you want to make. But also, in qunut, you should make dua for those who are deceased by saying, Allahumma ghfir li, and the name of your marhum. For example, the name of your marhum is, let's say, Tilmiz Hasnan. So you say, Allahumma ghfir li Tilmiz Hasnan. Allahumma ghfir li Izharul Hasnan, masalan. So you name, after saying this sentence, Oh Allah, forgive this person. Oh Allah, forgive this person. Do the maghfirat of this person. And you can mention 40 deceased or alive. Doesn't matter. If you have 40 deceased, you should name them. If not, you run out of the names, you can go more. 40 is just a number. You can have 50, 60, 80, as many as you want. But that's the idea behind it. And after you're done with that, stay in that halat. You can recite Astaghfirullah 70 times. Or you can recite Al-Afu, Al-Afu, Al-Afu 300 times, as many times as you want to. Or less, maybe 10 times, maybe 20 times, whatever amount you are comfortable doing. That will be, and then you just go into ruku, sujood, and you finish the salat in 1 rakah. So that's as far as the watr is concerned. An overview of the surah. We find the belief in the hereafter, the law of trials and tribulations and people's reaction to it, the instructive history of ancient people, Ad wa Thamud and Fir'aun, and the levels of humans' souls. Nafs-e mutma'in comes toward the end. Name of the surah is Fajr, as it appears in the first ayat, Wal Fajr. It has 30 verses and 139 words and 597 letters. The surah was revealed in Makkah between the first revelation of Quran, which is Surah Alaq, the first 5 ayat, and between the migration to Habsha, Abyssinia. In between that time, the surah was revealed. And it was revealed after Suratul Layl. The atmosphere in which the surah was revealed, the fact that it was revealed in Makkah, tells us that the reason behind the revelation of these ayat is the overwhelming attachment of the polytheists of Makkah with this transient world and their rebellion toward the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they were doing that, the ayat are scolding them. These ayat come down scolding them. So the surah was revealed in the atmosphere where polytheists consider their immense wealth that they had accumulated or the bounties that they had received, of course, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who else is bestowing upon them except Allah? That they possessed to be their nobility near God. And they consider the poor and the needy to be disgraced near God because they were poor and needy. Because we're wealthy and we're rich and we have all the bounties, we are closer to God. We are the beloved of God. And those who are poor and wretched and needy, they are, disgraced in the sight of Allah. That was the mechanism for them. Or that was the way of looking at these two, classes of people. Allah warns them, puts them in test, reminds them about the previous arrogant nations so that they may take heed and learn something from it. As far as the surah is concerned, it's 89th chapter in the Holy Quran. In the current order of the chapters that we have from Surah Fatiha, Surah Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran, Nisa, Ma'idah, 89 is Surah Fajr. Although it was the 10th in the chronological order of revelation. So after Surah Alaq, and then you had Surah Al-Qalam, Surah Al-Muddassir, Muzammil, and number 10th was what? Number 10th was Surah Wal-Fajr. What are the objectives and the lessons? The main axis of Surah Fajr are issues of ma'ad, as we mentioned before, testing people in this world, reminder of unpleasant fate of the previous nations, what they used to do and what happened to them. Similar to the other chapters revealed in Makkah, Surah Fajr also contains short verses. So there are small verses, wal fajr, wal layalin ashr, wal shaf'i wal watr. Or towards the end, when it says, waji'a rabbuka, or when it talks about ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya. Small, short ayat in it. But these small and short ayat are shocking, resounding, and accompanied by many warnings. Warning after warning comes in this surah. So the first part of the chapter, we see many oaths are being taken. Wal fajr, that's one oath. Wal layalin ashr, that's another oath. Wal shaf'i wal watr, these are another oaths. These are all qasam by wow, by the dawn, by the odd and the even, by the 10 nights, by this, by this, by this. These are all what? These are all formats of taking an oath and doing a qasam. So, which is, of course, unprecedented. You don't find that type of qasam anywhere else in any other chapters. Maybe only in Surah Wash-Shamsi wa Duhaha. Other than that, you don't really find repeated qasam one after another. Usually, the first ayat has a qasam, then there isn't any. But these are the ayat continuously making these qasam. So these oaths are a prelude to threatening the tyrants about the wrath of Allah. In the next part of the chapter, there's a mention about the previous tyrant nations, such as people of Ad, people of Thamud, and people of Fir'aun, and how God took revenge from them so that other powerful groups today can understand and hold themselves accountable on this basis that those stronger nations were held accountable by God. Wrath came, and what are we in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So people of Ad are two separate groups in history, old and the new Ad. Quran says Adin al-Ula, who lived in the place called Ahqaf. There's a chapter in Quran, Surah Ahqaf, after Hazrat Nuh. And then in the time of Hazrat Hud, alayhi salatu wasalam, you find people of Ad. Second is the people of Thamud, who were, of course, lived in time of Hazrat Saleh, alayhi salatu wasalam, the story of Prophet Saleh and Naqa Saleh and all that stuff. The third part of the chapter, in line with the previous parts, there's a reference to the tests and the tribulations. فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانِ إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ, and that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives insan something, He tests him. And when He tests him, insan says, when Allah gives him something, he says, Allah has honored me. And when Allah tests him by taking something away, he says, Rabbi ahanan, Allah has disgraced me. It's a kalla, that's not the case. So these are the tests and the trials and tribulations of mankind, and criticizing him for the shortcomings in doing good deeds. Kalla, these are not the reasons why we have, taken something away from you or given something to you. Because the ayat, when I talk about If I can read for you. It says, فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانُ إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ فَأَكْرَمَهُ. When Allah tests him, but does ikram to him, وَنَعَّمَهُ, gives him ni'mat, he says, Rabbi akramani, Allah has honored me. But when Allah takes away the rizq, فَيَقُولُ Rabbi ahanan, he says, Allah has disgraced me. Kalla. No, that is not the case. بَلْ لَا تُكْرِمُونَ الْيَتِيمِ. You did not take care of the yatim and the orphans in your time. وَلَا تَحَاضُّونَ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. You did not take care and invite others to go ahead and provide food to those who are miskin. وَتَأْكُلُونَ التُّرَاثَ أَكْلًا لَمَّا. You are eating the inheritance indiscriminately. وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. And you had this, fervor, this love for the riches that cannot be compared to anything else. So these were the main reasons why these people or insan was criticized by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the last part of the chapter, the discussion goes into the direction of ma'ad and the fate of the criminals and the disbelievers. Similarly, it mentions the great reward for the believers and the possessors of nafse mutmainna. As you have heard a great deal about the ayat, ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainna, so I won't go in the details. One theological concept that is mentioned in ayat number 22nd, which, of course, there are mutashabih ayat and there are muhkam ayat. This is the mutashabih ayat. Allah says, وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ صَفًّا صَفًّا. And your Lord and the angels have come rank upon rank. So when you arrive, وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ. Rabb has come and the angels have come. Coming of the angels we understand, because the angels are beings, physical beings. They can come they used to come to Rasulullah. They used to descend onto Rasulullah. So the coming of an angel can be understood. Coming of Allah, Allah will come. Does he have a physical ability to come or physical body to come? Imam Ali ibn Musa rada, he said, your Lord has come doesn't mean that Allah himself comes. Rather, Surah Nahl, ayat 33 says, Ya'ati amrur rabbika. The command of your Rabb has come. So when it says in this ayat, Waja'a rabbuka, means the command of Allah has come, not Allah himself. It doesn't make sense for Allah to himself come. No, the command of Allah has come, along with what? Along with the angels and the malak. So don't think, some people misunderstood this, some people translated this, that Allah has a physical body and He will come and we will be able to look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while many ayat of Quran are declining that no, you will not be able to see Allah. So there's no concept of Him coming. Lastly, the features and the specialties and the reward of reciting. Ubay ibn Ka'ab narrates from Prophet who said, whoever recites the Surah Fajr, during the first 10 nights of the month of Zulhijjah, Allah will forgive him. And the one who recites it daily will be raised on the day of judgment with illuminated face, with nur and nuraniyat. Also, Dawood ibn Furqad narrates from 6th Imam, who said, recite Surah Fajr in your wajib and mustahab prayers, obligatory and recommended prayers, since this is the chapter of Imam Hussein, right? This chapter refers to Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam Hussein. The implementation of the ayat is on Imam Hussein because of the ayat, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainna. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us the tawfiq to understand Quran better, follow the ayat of these chapters such as Surah Fajr, and ponder over the meanings that are there for our understanding, the taking of admonition, taking heed, and implementing them into our life. O Allah, hasten the reappearance of our weighted Imam. Make us amongst the helpers and the soldiers of Imam. Wa akhu da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli. Assalamu alaikum Rasulullah, Assalamu alaikum Nabi Allah, Assalamu alaikum Habib Allah, Assalamu alaikum Khiyaratul Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Assalamu alaikum Abu Abdullah, Assalamu alaikum Ibn Rasulullah, Assalamu alaikum wa ala jaddika wa abika wa ala ummika wa akhi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alaikum ya gharib al-ghuraba, Assalamu alaikum mu'in al-du'afa wal-fuqara, Assalamu alaikum shams al-shumus wa anis al-nufus. أيها المدفون بعرضة صلي ابن مسرضة ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك شريك القرآن. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا Inna wa alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.